You'll love that.
Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.
Hello and welcome to episode 399. Yes, 399 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Joining me as always is the glorious League Freak. You can also find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
Going all right, Andrew. How are you?
Not too bad. Can't believe we've done 399 of these.
I know. It's crazy to think about because, like, we can talk about rugby league non-stop and then, but we've done it 399 times. It's really strange.
Well, the podcast has. I mean, I've probably been here for about 300 of them, and you've been here for about 397 of them.
Yeah, I think I've only missed two. Hey,
yeah, yes, just the two.
Yeah, but it's that's why it's a collective. We destroy the planet on a collective scale 399 times. It's been great.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Facts. So we're gonna do let's do it. We haven't done it this year. Let's do an Ask Kenty.
Oh, it's been a while. I don't know what volume we're up to. I feel like it's probably volume 7 or something. Hey,
something like that. There's been a few, but these ones are usually pretty good.
Yeah, you got to let them like build up, and eventually you get some really good ones. So, and you don't want to do it like into the season too. You don't want to do it at the start of the year.
No, that's right. It's boring shit at the start of the year. You want to get in there when they're hopefully talking a little bit about rugby league.
Yeah. They're probably not, but anyway.
That's right. Shall we dive on in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Todd G asked, are you able to confirm the status of James Hooper's driving license? # asking for a friend.
That's straight off the bat, hey? How bad is he on the sideline?
He's very poor.
Yeah.
I heard him giving the weather the update the other day, and I went, oh, even he didn't seem confident doing that. I
heard him give the score update in a game on the weekend, and then the previous weekend he told us about, I think I might have mentioned this, some of the ins and outs in the team 17 minutes into the game. So it's just, he's terrible at it. It's kind of funny. Yeah.
Scoop. Yeah, he's brilliant. Hopeless. It's like they're trying to find something for him to do, but he's shit at everything he does.
Yeah, they should just let him, do the staff writing on his blog.
Yeah. The occasional panel betting he's got on the side.
Yeah.
Here's another one. They've taken a screenshot of a tweet from the Fox Sports Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
And in that tweet, they've got a quote there by Phil Rothfield, and he says, if Moses Mbai is a better fullback than Tyrell Sloan, I will retire. And the tweet says, Dragons have gone undefeated since Rothfield offered to quit. Does he need some boxes?
Tell you what, Mbai didn't play too bad in the last game.
Yeah, but geez, he's been shit the other weeks.
Well, yeah, there is that. It's just the rest of his career counts against him.
He's just not a fullback. He's positionally, he's clueless.
It's a weird one.
He makes a lot of bad decisions at the back too.
I wonder if, like, he just during the week, he just is so convincing that he can play fullback that you just like, this dude's like, he's got it. He'll get it. Just give him time.
He's just not.
No.
He's just not. He's a backup 6. That's all he is.
On his best day, hey?
Yeah, that's right. Would you rather fight an elephant-sized chicken or 10 chicken-sized elephants?
Oh, 10 chicken-sized elephants, definitely. Have you ever seen a chicken?
Well, yeah, I'm from a farm.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a good point. But, like, can you imagine an elephant-sized chicken? It would be like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, literally.
Yeah, but it's also a scared animal.
But like you see chickens when there's something that's small, they will want to eat it.
Possibly, but if it's making enough noise and moving around, and it'll startle them.
Yeah, but just say you've got a chicken that's the size of an elephant, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to take that on compared to a bunch of little elephant-sized chickens? Because like, what was it, 10 of them?
Yeah.
I'm looking like fucking a soccer player just booting them things into the air. They don't last
fair.
like 15 seconds.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Just take a cricket bat out.
Yeah, like I'd launch them suckers. They'd be gone.
Yeah. No, fair call. I'm with you on that one.
Even if it was 20 of them, I'm not even worried. I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
I would like to fight a chicken that was the size of a German Shepherd.
You reckon that's about the maximum size a chicken should be to fight?
I think so, because I reckon you could punch it in the head because they haven't got big brains.
No.
I think that would stun it. But
probably would.
Like I think if it's a bunch of elephants the size of chickens, it's literally just down to cardio. You might be able to do 50 of them before you need just a bit. You need 30 seconds, you know.
That's fair call. Okay, next up we've got Braden asking, is Ruben Cotter everything that the media tells us Victor Radley's supposed to be, but without the dickhead element?
I'm worried about Victor Radley, hey?
Yeah, it's like sometimes you find these players who play on the edge, so to speak, that they feel like they always have to be there.
Yeah.
And if they have a few games where they're not being penalised or put on a report or anything like that or being spoken about as, anything negative, they go, oh, better go a bit off the rails in the next game.
Yeah, and or they feel as though they've got to go out and play a certain way. And when they can't play that way, it puts them so far off their game. But it's like, it reminds me of, what was the name that the forward, he used to play for the Bulldogs and went to the Knights?
Clemmer,
yeah. You know how there was a point where people were like, oh, Clemmer needs to fire up, and then he did it, and it kind of wasn't working, and then he went back to playing his normal game, but it just felt like he was a bit lost. I feel like Victor Radley is a little bit lost with his career at the moment. I feel like he's kind of got to find the player he is.
Yeah, he kind of strikes me as someone, skill set wise, that he's sort of between a few different positions.
Mm.
And I do worry that he'll follow the same sort of path that Tyrone Peachy has, where he just plays as this everywhere man, but not a jack of all trades but master of none type player.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is too, because he's not a big forward, it's going to wear him down a lot quicker than it will other players. Like the NRL forwards are massive and they're not getting smaller. And, it's all well and good to rip and tear when you've just started first grade, really. But that's going to wear you down. And like, maybe that's what's happening to him.
Yeah, I wonder because he does have good ball playing skills.
Mm-hmm.
He does run good line. He's a good defender. Why not put him at centre?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Hey, I wonder if he would have you would think he would have the lateral ability. I wonder if he'd have the speed to do it.
Well, he's got, you could put a winger outside him, probably Tupou. He'd be fine.
You think so?
Or you could put the fucking golden child, Joseph Sawali, outside him. Apparently he came out of God's anus.
The golden child. You're not a fan of his, hey?
No, look, this is the thing, okay? Before he even came into first grade, there was like a 3-way tug of war for his signature between Rugby Union South and the Roosters.
Yeah.
And he was constantly being talked, because of that, constantly talked up about this next big fucking thing, and he's going to be great and all this sort of stuff. And then the Roosters got his signature, and then the following year they asked for an exemption to get him to play first grade. And you're going, wow, this kid must be good if they're trying to get him in there while he's only 17.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of the games he plays. A lot of the times he gets out of position easily. He drops a lot of balls. He often isn't in the right place in attack. A pass will go behind him, a pass will go in front of him. And then all of a sudden you'll see him pull off, one or two plays to justify his existence in the team for another week. And I don't know, I just think, is he worth all that hoo-ha that went on? I didn't get it. Like, how many other teenagers have come and gone as backs that were so much more impressive at that same age? I mean, Chris Lawrence came into grade at 17.
Yeah.
Fucking hit it out of the park.
What about, I mean, Josh Hannay, didn't he play when he was like 16?
Exactly. And look, there's been tons of teenagers who were really good when they first came along, and they were good for quite a number of years. And they lived up to the hype for quite a while. This guy has been paid more than most of them, and he's not matching the hype at all. Like, the hype around him is very similar to the hype around Luke Brooks after his debut. I'm not lying. Everyone remember when he had that debut and he ripped the Dragons apart? And then for the next year, all we heard was how much he was going to be like Andrew Johns. We're like, just fucking settle down.
I guess the thing about him is that, like, he's a huge dude for an outside back. He's absolutely massive. Oh,
look, the frame. Look, he does have plenty of skill and plenty of agility for a big man. I'm not saying he doesn't have that, but to me, he's still too green to be playing in the NRL as a regular player. He needs that time in the lower grades to, hone his skills. He's not ready for first grade yet.
Well, that's how I feel about Cobbo, hey? Like, up in
Brisbane.
He's
similar. He is similar.
Like, you can see he's going to be a really good player. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I just think physically he's not ready for first grade. And, I talked about this on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, and people were like, well, it's better for him to get his experience in first grade. And I can see that argument. But, when you've watched the lower grades and you see the impact that a player can have against a lower quality opposition, but still a good opposition, and sometimes it allows a player to back themselves a little bit more, try things that, if they make a mistake, it doesn't end up being national headlines for a week and things like that. So I think sometimes people underestimate what can happen for a young player when they can learn things in the lower grades. And look, I think somebody like a Cody Walker is a great example of that.
Oh, absolutely. He also had, I can't forget his name, former Titans halfback.
Former Titans. What's his name? Yeah, he went down to Canberra.
Yeah.
We're bad with names this week.
We are bad. We are bad. But yeah, he was another good example of someone who spent a lot of time in the lower grades before making it into first grade and getting out of the park. It's quite a helpful tool, being able to do that. Yeah, Cobbo's definitely an absolute gun. What do we got next here? Another one says, 2-part question. When you and Creepy Crawley had that tanty about how in your day play managers don't attend press conferences, did you look across the table at the play manager hosting the show?
Oh, that's a great question. That's
also
a great one.
Do you still wear an onion on your belt?
People blow up about Braithen Astor being a player manager for Munster and that. And I get it, but at the same time, I don't think it's a massive deal in terms of, I don't think Braithen Astor's on there pumping up Munster all the time. Like Munster is playing great. It's not like Munster's playing crap and Braithen Astor's on that show going, you know what? He's one of the best players in the world. He's going to get a heap of money. Like he's going to get a heap of money no matter what. Yeah. I don't think it's anything that Anastas saying,
That's right. Munster's selling himself pretty damn well.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't see the problem with that. I do see a problem with Kalen Ponga's dad. I think that's weird, but you know, he got the money at the end of the day, and you know that's Newcastle's problem that they committed to, and that's fine.
Yeah, why not? Another one here says, why doesn't Hoops have a driver's license?
Wow, people are really focused on that.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's the sort of muck that Hooper wants to play around in.
That's true. That's true.
You've got to
And
kind
look,
of expect it to be flung back in your direction, I guess. That's probably why he's doing all this sideline work, trying to get a bit of extra coin so he can pay the fine. I actually don't know what's going on. I didn't know he's lost his license because I genuinely don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking the bus, I guess. I wouldn't be caught dead doing it, but anyway.
The bus is fine. No, it's not. It's fucked, but you know.
Hey, I've got a question for you that's not on there.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Oliver Gildart?
Yeah, I think I said yesterday he's got hands like messy slop.
I said he was the worst player in the NRL.
See, I'm not sure he's the worst. The thing is, position-wise, he's very good. He's always in the right spot at the right time. But his hands are atrocious.
Oh, he can't.
His decision-making when he's got the ball in his hand is barely any better.
Yeah, it's like if he catches the ball, congratulations. He's probably going to throw it away in a stupid way.
Exactly.
And the weird thing was I said he was the worst player in the NRL. And it was like we were talking about before the podcast where you sort of kind of walk away and then you come back and people are going crazy over it. But the thing I was a little bit surprised about was how many former or how many current Wigan fans were like, oh, yeah, that seems about right. That's what we thought would happen. And normally that's not the case. They would support the player and be saying,
protect their own kind.
Yeah. But no, there were so many Wigan fans that were like, oh, yeah, we kind of had a feeling that was how it was going to go, and his last season in Wigan wasn't great. So that really, really surprised me. A lot of people were talking about his size. I don't think his size is the problem. Like, it's just the lack of skill.
Yeah, his hands are atrocious. I think if his ball handling skills are a lot better and he chose to die with the ball in hand than try and do some sort of smart-assy play, he'd probably be about 10 times the player he currently is, and he'd actually be quite useful and NRL quality. But as it is, his ball handling is atrocious. Some of his passes that he tries to pull off, flick passes, stuff like that, half the time he doesn't need to do the stupid flick pass. He can just do a normal pass. And he's, sometimes you just get a play and you watch him, and as soon as play starts heading their way, you kind of close your eyes but squint through the gaps in your fingers going, I don't really want to watch, but I kind of have to. He's kind of like that. It's kind of like watching Braithen Astor at fullback. Like, it's going to be a car crash, but you kind of want to see the shattered bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
There's another arm come off.
You know he's going to fuck it up, and you want to see it happen.
And you want to know how.
Yeah. Because it's going to happen in a way you're not expecting.
Exactly, and that's kind of the charm to it all. Like, this is going to be memorable for all the wrong reasons, but I need to see it so I can say, yeah, I remember watching that shit go down.
And it's weird to see it happening in the Tigers side that isn't very good. But when you see something happening and you're like, oh, this guy fucked it up again. Yeah. It's like to stand out as that play in the West Tigers side, you got to be really fucking it up.
Exactly. And look, this is the thing is, he came over as a test player, so he's obviously going to be one of the first picked just because of that. But even after just 8 weeks, he'd already been relegated to a bench player. And the Tigers have not had their full complement of outside backs. So he's struggling to get in there when some of the people who he's going to be competing with aren't even there, like Adam Dewey, for example, who will go into centre.
Yeah.
James Roberts has been in and out with injuries, thank Christ. There was Asu Kepawa. I'm sorry, I don't pronounce his surname, but yeah, he's had a knee injury which he only just come back from, and he was limping around again on the weekend. So there's these other players who would probably be there in front of him, and he's going to be competing with them when they're all fully fit and they come back. And I'd be surprised if we see much of him once Dewey returns to the side, especially if Luke Brooks continues to prove me right that he is a 6 who has a good skill set, and the team learns how to use that skill set, which they're still learning to do, because he's never really been put in this position where he can just be a ball-running ball player where someone else calls the shots. Right. When Benji was there, Benji was a second receiver. He still had to call the shots, and he didn't do it. Now we've finally got the role reversal where a proper play-calling halfback is actually doing that job, and he doesn't have to do it anymore. He just goes back to being a ball runner. And, I mean, it's hard to disagree that he's been immensely better since Hastings come back and he got moved to 6. Last 3 games have been brilliant. That's
true, but, at the same time, I think, considering he's on $1 million a year, and, I think Dewey would do a better job at that role.
Oh, comfortably. Dewey's a better 6.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got to look at it this way, and that is they are paying this bloke $1 million, so they're going to be putting him in the side.
Yeah.
So if you can't have him at 6, the other thing that we did see more of on the weekend than the previous week was Brooks playing a chunk of the second half at hooker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it. His size is an issue defensively. Unlike other halves, though, he doesn't let his size make him scared about defending. He still charges in, and his technique's pretty good. He just doesn't have much meat to put behind it.
Yeah, it's just a physics problem, really.
Yeah, that's right. So I think the mindset that Maguire's got is if I've got him at hooker, because he is fast. I mean, he's not beach sprinter fast, but he's pretty fast off the mark. If I have him at hooker, the props can help him with that defense issue in the middle. Whereas if he's defending a bit wider, he's going to get singled out by big second rowers, and they're going to run through him. So it's a way of hiding him a bit in defense. And it has kind of been working, which then means what was the point of keeping Little? I don't know why they're hanging on to him. Get rid of him. Simple as that. And I think the idea is if we can turn Brooks into a capable enough hooker, which I don't agree that they should be trying to do that, mainly because you still need to be quite a communicator to be at 9. You've got to get your forwards moving. You've got to get them doing what you need them to do, and he doesn't talk. I prefer him at 6, where he doesn't have to. Still, you can get by without him talking too much there. You can get by there. So I don't know. It's a tricky one, but that's a hard thing. You can break him down and look at him and go, you know what? He clearly has the skill set. He just doesn't have any communication. And as a halfback, that is 50% of your job.
Yeah.
And so it's tricky. You go, he's got the skills, but he's a fucking mute. And that's been the frustrating thing about him, is because you can see all of the good and all of the bad every single week, every single game. And so it's both easy and hard to say drop him to reserve grade or put him off the bench or just replace him, because you go, but he can win games, and we've seen him do it for the last few weeks now. He's scored match-winning tries. He's kicked match-winning field goals. He's set up match-winning tries. He's done this stuff, and it's been over the last 3 weeks. But at the same time, you just go, fucking talk. How much better would he be?
He's a rugby league mind. That's all it is.
So, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
We're stuck with him, though, for, 2074 or something like that they've signed him for.
Yeah. At least he's Like a round number, $1 million, that's fine.
Yeah, until next year, it'll be 1.4, and then it'll be probably backhanded like fuck. Probably find out in 3 years' time he's on $9 million a year, and our cap's blown on one player. Everyone else is on minimum, and we still go over. Another question here. Any chance of some scrutiny being sent Ricky Stewart's way, or will you continue to protect the bloke who coincidentally employs fellow panellist Paul Crawley's brother? I like the sassy comments.
They are sassy, hey. I've changed my stance on Ricky Stewart. I'm out. I'm completely out. I was watching that game on the weekend, and he picks too many losers. He puts too much faith in losers. There is one player in their entire team I would take, and that's Papali. The rest of them can I just don't want. I think there's loser mentality through that entire club, and I think Ricky Stewart is so much to blame, so I'm out. I'm out on him.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too after the last chat we had about him.
Mm.
And you know what I reckon? The one job that would be good for him is that one weird, almost pointless job that you see some of these blokes getting, that is coaching director.
Yeah.
Because they've got nothing to do with what goes on the field. And that's what you need from Ricky Stewart. I think he could handle off-field coaching stuff.
I think that's the worst role for him.
No, I put him in there because the worst thing I find with Ricky Stewart is the thing you find common with a lot of people who are great players, and they can't transition from being a great player to being a great coach. And he's a perfect example of that. Wally Lewis is another one.
Yeah.
I think so much of what he did on a field was he was so exquisite as a player. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people will end up forgetting because of how divided they feel about him as a coach. They're going to think of him as a coach from now on in. And they're not going to look at what he did as a player and go, oh, yeah, he was actually that fucking good.
Yeah.
Is that it's hard to take that stuff, which he would do all sorts of weird shit and fucking fanciful shit and set up tries out of nowhere and set up plays. And a lot of people used to talk about how Peter Sterling could see a play coming like 2 plays beforehand. Ricky Stewart was very, very similar. And he was setting up plays 2 or 3 plays before. His kicking game was immense. And so because a lot of that just came naturally to him, I think it's hard for him to try and teach that into any sort of skills or ability into people who don't naturally have it.
Yeah, and I talked with Jamie, who was on a couple of podcasts ago, about this. I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or after, about great players and how, and Benji Marshall would be a great example of it in terms of you throw Benji Marshall the ball in a situation. I don't think he could tell you exactly what he was thinking at the time. There was a lot of instinct in the way he played. And there's things you just can't teach a player. Like you can get a player that is bigger, stronger, faster, and more agile than Benji Marshall. And Benji Marshall will never be able to tell that player how to do what he used to do. And that's what a great player has a problem with when they become a great coach. It's like Wally Lewis. Like, how does Wally Lewis ever tell, even someone like a Cameron Munster, who's a great player, Wally Lewis could never teach Cameron Munster how to go to Wally Lewis's level. You either have it or you don't. And great players can't get that across to people. And I think that's what holds them back as coaches, because there's an element to themselves that they think, why aren't these players digging so deep within themselves like I used to do? And look, if you took Ricky Stewart at his best and put him in the NRL right now, he's the best halfback in the game. There's just no doubt about it. And I say that as a Nathan Cleary fan, that's how good he was. But we have seen his entire career, he cannot coach a halfback. And I think that's why.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
because I think tactically as a coach, I think if you got Ricky Stewart right now, right, and you made him coach the Penrith Panthers, I think the Panthers would be great under Ricky Stewart, okay? But when it comes to developing players and selecting players and all that, I think Ricky Stewart is abysmal at that side of it. I think for the tactical side,
I don't know, man. I don't know, because I look at what Canberra's been doing since V'landys ball came in, and every other team has made changes to their roster to make their forward packs more mobile, more agile, to deal with the faster ruck. And also the fact that there's a fair chance you might have to be defending for 2 or 3 sets in a row because of set restarts and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And he made no changes and steadfastly stuck to the game plan that he was using in 2016, 2017, and that was try and bash the shit out of teams in the first 20 minutes through the middle, and then send the ball wide. And at the moment, they're not punching the holes through the middle, but they're still trying to go wide. And it's almost like watching a Jason Taylor coach side play. It really is. It's horrible to watch because you'll see most coaches, like, they know it. You've got to earn the right to go wide. And his team's not doing that. They're not punching through the middle. The post-contact meters are good, but there's no second phase play off the back of it. And so they're just running for an extra 2 or 3 meters. And that's it. You that's one of the things that Penrith and the Storm do really well. And South and the Roosters do it reasonably well too. And that is, if you get a player making those post-contact meters, they either have a quick play the ball or they get an offload away.
Yeah.
And so it means the defence is just constantly back foot. And you cannot stop any player and any player's momentum if you're going backwards. Because, gravity or physics, everything is you being at a weak point. Because you're going backwards, you've got no solid base to put power through to go forwards with a defensive hit. All you're doing is pulling people down on top of you, and all that does is make the attacking player land face first, face pointing the right way, on top of the defender. So all they do is get up, go to the side a little bit, another quick play of the ball, and the momentum continues. So that's what those teams do really, really well. It's what Canberra struggles with, because they'll get those post-contact meters, and then it's a slow play of the ball, and you go, well, that was a fucking waste.
Yeah,
and he's not learnt how to fix that, and he's 3 years of it now.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Ricky Stewart. It's like when on the personnel selection side of it, he's terrible. And Canberra still don't have a halfback. Like, I saw Canberra fans on Twitter the other day saying his biggest problem was that they got rid of Aiden Caesar. And it's like, if Aiden Caesar is the answer, the question is the wrong question, But
the thing is, though, he's probably, of the 3 halfbacks they've had, he's probably been the best one and the one they didn't need to get rid of.
Which says it all, really.
I know.
It says it all. I remember calling Aiden Caesar in the lower grades and saying how average he was, and it horrified Daniel when I said it too, because he was like, "Oh, well, if Aiden Caesar's family's listening, we hope you're enjoying the game." But it's. I just think that if he had somebody else doing everything except the tactics, he'd be fine. But that's the thing. In the same way that we will criticise coaches for having big holes in their game, that's a massive hole in a coach's game, that you can't select the right players, hold on to the right players. Like, I was watching on the weekend, what does Corey Horsburgh do? Like, what does he do? He just cries. That's it. He fucks up and he cries, and that's all he's ever done in first grade. So why is he in the fucking team?
In all honesty, his only thing he does really, really well is good line runner. But you know what? Everybody's second rower is one of those.
I see nothing in
he
his
runs.
game.
He runs a good line, but I mean, as I said, every second rower in the game runs good lines. You can't just be a good line runner anymore. That used to be, a handy sort of skill to have, because you wouldn't have every second rower being a good line runner. Some of them were ball players, some of them were like extra props. They were all a bit different. But now every second rower is a strong line runner, but they've also got ball playing skills.
Like there's other like Rapana. How many times have we just got to watch him fuck up a game before they stop selecting him? And then there's Jack Whiten, who, what does he do? You know, like he's a good ball runner, but he's crap at everything else. Chance Nickel Clogstad, who since he cut his hair, like he's never been the same player again, ever. Like shouldn't Ricky Stewart go to him and say, dude, grow your fucking hair or you are sacked? And then they bring back Kotrick, who's been just abysmal, absolutely abysmal. And it's just all of these Canberra players. Like Papali'i's the only one that I would keep. The rest of them you could just reserve grade garbage, and they've got no heart whatsoever. Like there is no heart in that team. They're so fucking soft. And yeah, I think it's time for Ricky Stewart to move on.
All right, so next up here we've got Ask Kenty. How many hours a day, roughly, do you spend thinking about the Bulldogs or Gus Gould? Because didn't they have a fair old bloody rant about the fact Gus Gould ran the training for the Bulldogs last week? Whoopee.
See, I thought it was very undermining of Trent Barrett. All right.
Of course it is. But I mean, at the end of the day, the club's going to do whatever it can to stop losing.
And I thought that it was funny that they played really well and won the game. And it makes you think, like, how bad a coach must Trent Barrett be?
Oh, he's a great coach. Great for the attack. Aren't they the worst attacking team? He's great for their attack. Yeah. I think I remember tweeting something along the lines of the worst thing that could happen for Trent Barrett is the Bulldogs win.
Yeah. And
the worst thing possible for the Bulldogs is anything that keeps Trent Barrett at the club.
Yeah. It's just a really bad sign for a coach. And look, Phil Gould has come out today and said Trent Barrett's going to be the coach longer than I'm there. And so Trent Barrett is on the clock. And we've been talking about it for a while now. And, you know, it's just going to happen. It's just a matter of when Gould decides to do it. And that's the problem with Gould taking over that training session, is that he's now got to back Barrett for a number of more weeks, so it doesn't look like he has gone in, undermined him, cut his balls off, and then turfed him out of the club.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see over the next few weeks is Trent Barrett getting very tired.
Yeah, definitely. And look, this is the problem with Phil Gould. There's lots of drama. There's always drama. Yeah. And he enjoys it.
He loves it. It's because he's a media person now, not a coach.
Yeah. And people were saying like, oh, you know, Phil Gould's a great coach and all that. It's like he hasn't been an NRL coach for 20 plus years now.
Yeah. He was more of one of those coaches that was a, you know, player sort of manager, like a Wayne Bennett type coach.
Yeah.
He was able to sit down and talk to a player and get down to what motivates them and what drives them, and then found out how to push the button to, you know, turn that fucking part of their football brain on and make them perform.
Mm.
And yeah, he and Wayne Bennett just have that knack, and he knows how to do it. I mean, you've only got to see, you know, one of the few great things that he's been able to provide us in the media is those chats he does at Origin time. You know, when he goes out before the game starts, and some of those are pretty bloody amazing. And
I find them vomit-inducing.
Some of them are, but sometimes when he gets out there and he's talking purely about the emotion of the moment and how some of the players are going to be feeling, you can get a bit of an insight there as to how he can use his words to empower players to do what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
That's the sort of window you get there. And when you see that, you go, can I ever imagine Trent Barrett? No. I couldn't imagine Trent Barrett losing his shit. He's just going to go, well, boy, there's another bit of a disappointing performance out there. We've got to make sure we do better next time, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Trent, no worries.
The lots are on, but nobody's home sort of thing.
He's so fucking vacant.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing about him. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't get pissed. He doesn't get excited or happy. He's just fucking vacant.
Yeah. It's and it's an interesting situation at the Bulldogs, because I think that they've got some talent in that team, but you look at them and they play like crap. And yeah, it's just a really bad sign that Gould takes over a training session and they play infinitely better and beat a much better team than them. I don't know how that dynamic's going to work, because he will have to sack Trent Barrett, and I don't know who he's going to get in. But
Shane Flanagan.
You reckon?
Why not?
Man. There was a couple of weeks ago I heard Shane Flanagan in the commentary that he does for Fox Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a penalty given against a team. I think that they were commentating a St. George game or something. And he said something along the lines of, "Yep, you can't break rules because they'll get you." I was like, this fucking guy just doesn't get it, man. There's no fucking self-awareness at all.
Maybe that was a rare moment of clarity. He's gone.
Maybe. It was just so funny to hear him say that.
Of course.
It's like the only ways as a coach you can break rules, and he did all of them.
Only the flagrant ones.
Yeah, like it's fucking kind of impressive when you think about it.
The balls to do them so brazenly.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Oh, shit.
Somebody says, are the Cowboys looking like proper contenders? At this stage, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But they are playing a lot better than I thought they would.
Yeah.
And they do have a few players out, so they are going to get a bit better. Yeah, their halves still worry me. A lot of what they're doing at the moment is coming through a lot of good work through the middle, through the forwards.
Mm-hmm.
And your mate Drinkwater at the back has been playing remarkably well, given the skill set he has.
I didn't see their last game that Daylight played, so I can't talk about his last game. But I still think he's a walking catastrophe.
He's not better than Hamiso Tabuai-Fidau, who's the injured fullback who's waiting to come back into the side, and Drinkwater's at fullback at the moment, keeping him out. I would be moving Drinkwater to the bench if you must have him in the side, given that he's in a good patch of form. You may as well get what you can out of it while it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be doing it and leaving Tabuai-Fidau out of the team entirely. I'd be having that bloke at fullback in an instant.
Yeah, and look, you and me at the last minute picked the Cowboys to come last in competition, and their turnaround has been remarkable because it feels like it's a real thing. So, and they're in third place. It's a legit third place. It's not, they haven't lucked into it. And it's on the back of their defence. And when you look at where they were last year defensively, it's pretty remarkable, the turnaround that Todd Payton's got up there. He's getting Jason Taumalolo. I think they've got to the point where they're like, look, we're a good enough team now. We can actually use Taumalolo like you're supposed to. So Taumalolo's playing well. And look there, I think they're going to finish top 4.
Yeah,
like if you look at the ladder, who at the moment below them is playing legit better than them? And it's no one.
Yeah, at the moment. But they haven't had big contests yet. Like they've played the Bulldogs in Canberra, Brisbane, the Warriors, Canberra again, the Titans. It's only been the Roosters and Parramatta have been the two genuinely tough games there. And, I mean, they dicked Parramatta. But they got done by 24 points against the Roosters.
Yeah.
So they haven't been pushed legitimately hard yet. Just going to see if they're going to come up in the next few weeks.
Because, like, the Panthers and Storm, when they face them, they should be thinking we're going to win pretty well. Not smash them, but it shouldn't be a game that those two teams lose. But the ones, or every team below them, I think now will be thinking, man, when we play the Cowboys, it's going to be a real tough game.
Well, they've got the Knights this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Then the Tigers next week.
Oh, wow.
Then Melbourne, then Penrith in back-to-back weeks.
That's probably the best way to do it for them.
Yeah.
Get a couple more easy wins under their belt and then just get those two teams out of the way.
If they can be respectable in those two games, after that they've got the Titans and the Dragons.
Yeah.
There's a fair chance they could keep themselves in the top 8, but if they get a pair of back-to-back smackings there, and that's, conceding 30-point margins in both those games.
Yeah.
That could hurt their confidence too much. And the Titans are the sort of team who can pick off a team that's down on confidence a little bit. And so that could turn into 3 losses. And you don't want that, because then you come into the Dragons, who are, they've won their last 3 games. We don't know how. They probably don't know how. And then Manly, who are not a bad team, and they'll probably have Tom Trbojevic back by then. And then you got the Broncos after that before the bye. And at that stage, it's round 17. And so if they're down on confidence and they start to struggle against those other 3 teams, that could be 6 straight losses. So they've got to make sure that they get these next 2 wins against the Knights and the Tigers.
Yeah. If they do, and even if you pencil them in for a loss against the Panthers and Storm, if they just go 50-50 against those teams you named, they're playing finals footy.
That they should have done enough, yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because
they do have a soft draw.
Yeah.
They do have Penrith again in round 25 and South the week before that, but aside from that, they've also got Warriors, Bulldogs, Dragons and Tigers again. So it's a pretty favourable draw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I just can't believe how the difference... I've been so wrong. It feels like there was a year where I said the Cowboys, I thought they were going to have a ridiculously good year, and they were tragically bad. I feel like that's the only season where I've tipped somebody to do something and they've been the complete opposite.
Is that the year after they won the grand final?
It might.
Sorry, they got to the grand final but lost.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, because it was like I said, look, I think that I think I wrote an article about it where I was like, I think the Cowboys might lose 1 or 2 games all year, and they hardly won any games.
I think that was the Thurston farewell tour season.
Yeah, it was a shocker.
That was horrible.
Yeah. And that's the only other season where I feel like I've ever made a selection for a team where it's been the complete opposite. And so if the Cowboys even if the Cowboys end up in the top 8, I will be completely shocked. And it's been amazing for them to turn it around.
Absolutely. How come no mention of the Tigers injury crisis? Got 10 players out. If Panthers had the same amount of injuries, you wouldn't hear the end of it. Look, let me just say this. Every team has injuries at the moment. Some a few more than others. Just fucking pipe down. I hate the fact that people want to use injuries as a crutch to justify poor performances.
At this point in the podcast, Andrew's little one started crying, so I've edited the crying out because, the Raiders have enough fans. And as soon as the babe stopped crying, we kept on going. So here it is.
He's a bit overtired.
Oh,
way too early and didn't sleep much, and does not sleeping great. But there we go.
Oh, I've been reliably informed that in the last episode when he come on, and you and me were talking about him, that we made all of the ovaries ache. We were apparently adorable people loved it. And, yeah, I've been told that.
That's a concern.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, what can we say? We're just the perfect catches as dudes, hey?
I'm taken, ladies.
Yeah, that's the problem with you. You're already done. You were like, I almost said you planted your flag, but that's not the way to put it. I didn't mean it that way.
I got locked away pretty quickly.
Yeah, you got snapped up.
Not because I'm a catch, just, you know, some people know that they've just got to take what they can get.
Oh, don't be like that. Come on, man.
Oh, wow.
How did we just went right off track so quickly?
Yeah, very much. Let's get it back.
Yes.
Someone said, if Einstein was so smart, why is he dead?
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah. I think because he knew that you can't stop time from killing humans.
That's true. It's all relativity.
That's right. The Matt Lodge diving saga. What's with all the fuss? He was hit high. It doesn't matter how forceful it was. It's a penalty every weekend. It's more the fact that Lodge is just a dickhead.
Yeah,
him being involved in a play that might win a game. Don't like it.
Yeah, and like, you know,
I think. Well, I was going to say, sorry. It's just more the fact that it was obvious what he was doing because they needed a penalty in front to level the scores.
Yeah.
So of course, some dog was going to do something, you know, low life and gutless like, and that was, you know, perfect person to do that, I guess.
Yeah, I think if it was another
that wasn't
player,
too harsh, was it?
No, I don't think you nailed it. I think if it was another player, people would be upset, but not at the same level. I think that's the way to put it.
Yeah, if I could have my time again, that's probably the way I would have put it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll probably have Matt smashing down my door now or something.
Yeah, you don't want Matt Lodge knocking on the front door, do you?
Bring it, bitch.
Yeah, because, like, you know you're going to need a new front door and a new bathroom door and a new phone. Anyway.
What happens if Penrith makes the grand final and 2 days out from the game, someone like Cleary gets COVID? Do they get to play? No.
No, they don't. It's pretty clear cut, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty clear. When will Kevin Proctor be getting a start this year? Probably not if he keeps playing the same shit form he has been.
Yeah, it's been getting worse as the season goes on, unfortunately, like most of his teammates.
He's been horrid.
Mm.
Just not getting involved in the dirty play, He's not making the runs in the middle. He's just sitting out in that Ellis corridor waiting for something to be sent to him, almost as if he was the other second rower at the Titans.
Yeah. Well, Fafita's out now for a few weeks. He picked up an injury too, so...
so they're going to have to build a game plan now instead of just give it to Fafita all the time.
Yeah. Fafita once again given back to the club, hey?
God damn.
Did you see Ash Taylor isn't able to play rugby league anymore?
Yeah, I heard about that, and I don't know what it was. Something to do with a hip injury he had. Is that right?
Oh, no, I'm talking about since 2016.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, it was
just rocket up cash and checks.
Yeah, exactly. It was some sort of degenerative hip injury that he just couldn't get right.
I do have the inside word as to how he got that hip injury.
Mm.
He was stupid enough to not move his wallet to the other side. So because it was always on the one side, it just kept dragging down the hip on that side until eventually it wore out,
Yeah, it's a shocker. People were like saying, oh, it's very sad, and all I could think about was like, here's this young dude that's been earning really good money for a number of years. He had I think he played like 150 odd games, and like he'll be all right. He'll be fine. Yeah.
I think the thing that got me about that was the article saying that he was 27 years old. I went, fuck, I didn't realise he got that old that quick. He was always young Ash Taylor.
Yeah. It's weird, hey? And he was
Yeah.
another one of those that was like, he's going to be good. You watch, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. And you're just like, when?
It just never happened.
Mm.
Hi, Paul. Is it true Wayne Bennett taught you how to tie your shoelaces?
What does that mean?
I don't know. There we go. How do you think the Dogs are going and what is their direction? They're going kind of shit.
Mm.
But they're not on the bottom of the ladder, so
That's the important thing.
I think the thing that's disappointing is that they've spent all this money on this great big roster, which they're still continuing to build on, yet they didn't spend money in the right area, and that was on a coach.
Yeah.
Why didn't they get? I know we mention him all the time, but why didn't they get Jeff Tuvey? The bloke's won almost 60% of his games at the NRL level, over 100 odd games, and he can't get a fucking coaching gig. Yet Trent fucking Barrett does.
It makes no sense. And
There's
like,
some logic in this.
It's weird with coaches that, like, there are some people that it's like, it's a similar thing to Ash Taylor. He's going to be a great coach. He's going to be a great coach. And you sort of sit back and you say, oh, great. You just kind of think, man, Trent Barrett, he's going to be a great coach. Everyone's saying it. And then you wait for it to happen and it doesn't happen. I think Adam O'Brien is the same in Newcastle. And we've been talking about him since last year. And you're still looking at this Newcastle side and, like, they started the season great and have got progressively worse every year. The dude at the Titans, what's his name?
Justin Holbrook.
That's it, Justin Holbrook. He's the same. It's like, he's going to be a great coach, you watch. And they have recruited players. I think you look at their lineup. Their lineup isn't the worst lineup, and yet they are just getting worse and worse.
Let's be honest. He's built a good roster, and he's got a pretty solid squad there. But he doesn't know how to get them to perform on the field. Adam O'Brien is, I think, utterly clueless when it comes to tactics, because what you see every single week from the Knights is the same thing every single week, and that is go left to Ponga, hope it works.
Yeah, and it's simplistic, and you know what's coming, and like there's not even, the thing that gets me is there's not really a reshuffle there either. Like, if I'm the coach of the Knights, I'm thinking to myself, well, look, we've got Ponga now, we're paying him $1 million, I need to put him at 5'8", and like, I need to find myself a first grade fullback. I'd probably try Gagai back there, because Gagai's played all right at fullback at times when he's been called upon. And
his kick returns are better than what Ponga does.
And that's the thing. I was thinking about this on the weekend. Like, you don't look at Callum Ponga and think, oh, his kick returns are good. And one of his assets is his footwork and his speed and his agility. But as a kick returner at fullback, he's not that good. And it's just not his skill set. I think he's just used in the wrong place.
If he had the kick returns that Valentine Holmes had, hands down, to be the best fullback. Because Holmes is one of those blokes. He's got no other discernible skills in attack as a fullback, but he would always return the ball back hard. If Ponga could do that, fucking, he'd be his old man could pick up an extra $1,000 a year.
It's a weird thing, and that's the thing about the Knights. I don't see those adjustments. And it's like, dude, when are you going to make an adjustment? Like, are you waiting to be fired? Because I think he's going to get fired in the next 2 weeks.
So that's the thing. Because the Knights are media darlings, mostly because of Matty Johns, they won't get any scrutiny thrown at their way. So Adam O'Brien can plod along for as long as he wants there, so long as he's got the support of Matty Johns. And all he's got to do is just buy Matty Johns a few beers and give him how you going, mates, and you'll be right. He'll have a cruisy run for as long as he wants there.
There was a dude that literally bought the entire club off the back of that.
Yeah. That's how easy it is up there. It's ridiculous.
I saw an article that I think it might have been Ponga was saying that, Newcastle's a really good area and they work hard and stuff like that and they stick together and that's what's going to get the Knights through. And all I could think of was like, when has that happened in the last 10 years for the Knights? Like they are one of the worst clubs for thinking that they're special and there's something different there. And it's like, that's not how you win in the NRL. You just outwork everyone else and you just don't make excuses like that because no team is special. Like even the Storm, we talk about how different the Storm is. The Storm aren't special. They just work harder than everyone else to get to where they're at.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That press conference though with Ponga and Adam O'Brien was that was weird to watch because it was almost like one of the journalists said to Ponga, is it going to be good to sort of get away from Newcastle and sort of everyone be, all together for the next few weeks, get a bit closer together, I guess, and get back out on the field and just sort of have a bit of a reset. And Ponga's gone, that's a pretty good line. I'm just going to use that. And he just ran with it for the rest of the press conference. Oh, yeah, it'd be good to get away and stick together and we'll get close together and it'll be all good. And he must use it 3 or 4 times. And the whole way through the press conference, every time he was talking, he was smiling. And I went, I understand, mate, you're a multi-millionaire now. You got every reason to be happy. But after your team's just turned out that utter tripe of a performance, you don't go into a press conference smiling. And I went, you know what? Don't make him captain again. He's not captain material.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing about paying someone that much money. Like if he is somebody that does struggle every so often with injuries, and if he's not captain material, which is fine, and then he's probably not their best choice for a fullback. Like if they can get a legit fullback, you would want that legit fullback there instead. But then is he able to play 5'8"? We don't really know that. And you just go down the list and it's like, hang on a second. If you've got all of these questions and you've got all of these doubts, is that $1 million player? Like the $1 million players in the game. Like I look at a Taumalolo, bulletproof, best forward in the game, makes ridiculous meters. It very rarely gets injured. And when he does, he normally comes back quicker than he was supposed to be out for. So, yeah, that's fine. Nathan Cleary, you can even go back to the pedigree of his dad. His dad wasn't an injury-prone player. He's rock solid. He's got that pedigree. He's getting better. He's young. He's a halfback. He's big. He's strong. He's a good defender for a halfback. And you're just ticking a lot of good boxes. When you start putting question marks there for $1 million player, that's when you've got a question. Do you pay him that $1 million?
Yeah, it's weird. The dynamic is all weird. I'd have thought for a team that's been struggling for form to go and offer any one of your current players who's been there throughout that whole struggle to be given $1 million is. Like, I understand why, and to a certain degree, Ponga probably does deserve to be on one of the highest contracts out there, especially when you've got the threat of Wayne Bennett and the Dolphins up, just up the road, I guess. Can understand why that's happened, but can we honestly say he's genuinely earned it?
Yeah,
because that's the other thing too. I mean, I'd have the same opinion with Luke Brooks.
Yeah.
Has he genuinely earned that money?
Well, he just hasn't, has he?
No, he hasn't. But that's the thing, I suppose. If you're the best performing team in an average side, you're going to stand out more often than not. So it's going to help push your price up, I guess.
But you make a good point. If you've got a struggling team, but you've got one player in it that you value very highly, is it the right thing to pay them and make them $1 million a year player? Because it's not like you're adding something to the team.
No,
like you're not changing something.
No, you're keeping what you've already got.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
But just spending more on it.
Like say you've got $1 million to spend and you're the Knights. Would you rather have Ponga, Payne Haas, or Cameron Munster? Like how would you rank them three?
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what each club needs, but I think the Knights would probably need Munster more than anything else.
Yeah, I think I would go Munster, and then I think I'd go Haas. I think you could build around Haas as a front rower at a club. You get him there for 4 years, $1 million.
I actually don't mind the Knights pack so long as it's got Jaden Brayley fit and playing.
Yeah, that was a big loss. That was a massive.
That's the thing. I don't think a lot of people realise how important he is to that Knights side. I think a lot of Knights, fringe fans anyway. I think the genuine fans know. But I think a lot of people sort of thought, oh, Kalen Ponga's the key man. He's the star player. But it's Brayley and has been for quite a while. There's a reason why he was made captain. He is very, very good at organising the team and keeping them motivated. That's not something that Ponga does. He doesn't bring that motivation to the team. He doesn't talk them up and get them doing what he needs to. I mean, you see it in the press conferences. He's sitting there sort of laughing and smiling and stuff like that. And you go, it's not a criticism of him not taking it seriously. I just think his personality is he doesn't take things too seriously. And it's part of the reason why he's able to, I suppose, come up with plays at really crucial moments because he's relaxed and calm about everything all the time. But those relaxed, calm people don't tend to always be the best person to have as a captain of a side that's struggling for form. You kind of need someone who's stern, strict, clear, gives good guidance and direction and, steers the team forward where they need to go, not just some aloof sort of bloke who's trying to do his own thing to try and help the team out. He's not really working with the entire team to get all of the team doing what they need to be doing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, completely. And I think that if you go back a little bit in rugby league, you will find that teams would have a captain and you would sort of think, why is that guy the captain? Because we didn't have as much information as we do now. And you'd think, why is that guy the captain? And as time has gone on and you learn more about the game and the players and things like that, you realise the difference between the real leaders and what makes the captain.
Exactly.
This is another section of the podcast where I have removed baby crying. I'm doing it while I've got a French bulldog at my back snoring, so you might hear that as well. So if you've got any complaints about these cuts in the podcast, just go onto Twitter and go to @AndrewRLP and say, hey, dude, what's with the baby crying in the background? You're making so much work for League Freak, so much extra work. He really deserves a raise. That League Freak guy really deserves a raise. Anyway, back to the podcast.
All right, T-Mac asks, why is it that you and the panel will hammer the coaches of poorly performing teams, but when it comes to the Raiders, you say nothing?
Yeah, I keep hearing that. I think that one of the things that helps Ricky Stewart is that it's pretty quiet in Canberra. Like they haven't got a media market there really. It's just a bunch of sleepy ABC types. So
yeah. When should the discussion start about relocating the Knights to Western Australia?
That's terrible.
Is there any leader when Craig Bellamy will announce whether he is retiring or recommitting as head coach of the Storm? I think he's already done that.
I think he did. Didn't he commit for a little bit longer, but it was like
another 2 years or another 3 years, but an option in his favour.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think that he's got a bit of a deal with them where he's like, look, I'm happy to keep coaching, but I don't want to be locked in for forever. But you don't have to worry that I'm going to go anywhere, and everyone's fine with that. Like if you said to me, Craig Bellamy's still coaching in 10 years' time, I wouldn't be shocked at the Storm. I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
So, yeah, I think that they're all just comfortable with the situation down there, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. If Braith is sick one night for the show, do you think Isaac Moses would fill in as host?
That's hilarious. Oh, that's a good one.
Are you surprised Brett Finch gave 3 Dally M votes to Mitch Moses in round 25, 2019? 5 runs for 32 metres, no try assist, no line break assist, 7 missed tackles. I don't know why he's brought that up. That's not an accident. That was tweeted 7 hours ago.
That's so random.
Yeah. I'd probably say the less we talk about Brett Finch, the better.
Yes, it's just not good. Tell you what, the Dally M voting has been a little bit weird this year because I saw that there was like a bunch of games that Isaac Yeo got basically man of the match in the games he played, and it was fair enough. He was fantastic, and the Panthers are winning and stuff like that. But I think he's already been overtaken by somebody else, and it's like, wow, how good must they be going?
Exactly. If Gutherson is on $1 million, when will he deliver Parramatta a grand final premiership?
Gutherson can't be on $1 million. I think he's on 800,000, isn't he?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's on $1 million.
Yeah, it is Parramatta.
Can you confirm that Buzz Rothfield's reliable sources come from A, a fortune cookie, B, the bottom of a hard liquor, or C, the voices in his head?
Jeez. There's a theme here, hey?
Yeah, I think people are assuming that Buzz Rothfield drinks a lot.
Yeah. Why would people think that rugby league journalists all drink lots and lots of alcohol? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's got me beat. Buzz Rothfield, are you going to put the same heat on the Knights as you do the Tigers every week? No chance.
No.
You know, the funny thing is about Buzz Rothfield, I don't know if it's a self-imposed nickname or one that someone gave him as the most fearsome rugby league journalist out there. But for someone who's supposedly so fearsome, he's quite spineless and scared and timid.
Well, he just tends to go for the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and only then he's still unsure which piece of fruit he should be swinging at. He's such a piss weak soft cock.
You can't call yourself something without it having a smile on your face, right? So, and it can't be too. You got to be careful with it. So, like, I started calling myself the king of the internet and the king of rugby league and stuff because I knew it upset Palms.
Yeah.
And then I started calling myself the glorious league freak because it upset Palms. and that was the whole point. That's still the point. But to call yourself like the most fearless journalist in rugby league, it's like, it's a bit off.
Wanky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone here asks, do you prefer a large stadium half full or a suburban stadium 90% full?
I prefer a large stadium half full.
Likewise.
And I'll tell you why. Because more people can go to it and it's going to be more comfortable and there'll be better parking and better facilities.
And a half full large stadium is holding a lot more than a suburban ground with 90% capacity.
Yeah.
That could be 20,000 versus 15,000. It could be an extra, 5,000, 10,000 extra people in the large stadium. Of course you're going to take that.
And we got a weird... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, and nearly all of those people at the large stadium are going to have a good view.
Exactly. And we've got a weird thing in rugby league where if a game is really popular, say it's, say the Parramatta Eels and Dragons are both good for 2 weeks for some reason, and they can draw a massive crowd. There is this weird thing where they'll say, it's going to be a sellout, and then it's not actually a sellout because everyone feels like it's going to be a sellout. Why bother getting tickets? Whereas in the big stadiums, a good, nice sized stadium, that's not really too much of an issue. But then you get a small ground and it's like, say you play at Cogra, and it's very rare these small grounds sell out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that the game is so keen on rolling back to suburban grounds, especially when the New South Wales Rugby Union side, the Waratahs, have been reduced to playing home games at Leichhardt Oval now.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Give me a seat with that's got cover over it, with parking and facilities. Give me all of the things I want to get me out of my house. And there's not many stadiums that do that in Sydney. And there's beautiful stadiums around this country, like the Cowboy Stadium and all this stuff. But for some reason, there are people who will say like, oh yeah, I love sitting on the hill and stuff. And, you know, I feel like a lot of those people don't actually go to games.
No, that's right. And look, this is the thing, okay, is there's nothing wrong with having a novelty game. When I say novelty, I mean like, you know, have one game a year where you play at these suburban grounds. There's a bit of a kick throwback to it. I remember when we used to play here and you sort of make it a pilgrimage, as they'd say, every year. You know, round 15, we're going to have our traditional game at Belmore. Round 7, we're going to have our traditional game at Leichhardt. And they just do one of them every year. And that way you make it an event around that one venue. But play all the other games at proper sports grounds with proper seating and facilities and, you know, great to watch on TV, that sort of thing. And then you make a bigger event out of those smaller suburban grounds. But you're actually providing a better package to members and fans and all sort of stuff alike. If you're just playing more and more games at these big venues, which we do have, especially if it's cheaper to run games out of those bigger venues than it is at Leichhardt and Brookvale and so on and so forth.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I can tell you I've never been to Leichhardt because there's so many crosses against it. I just can't be bothered putting in all that effort to, you know, struggle to find parking and then you're sitting in a poor place that doesn't have all the facilities you want and stuff. It's like at some point I'm just like, I'd rather watch at home. Campbelltown Stadium is a minimum of what you would want, right?
It's a dive. I do not like Campbelltown. The amount of money that was put into that venue when they first built it in, what was it, 86, 87, and the money they've put in there afterwards to update it, I look at it and go, where's the money? Like, where's it gone? How is this that much of an upgrade on what Leichhardt is?
Well, look, I'm going for. I've seen games, New South Wales Cup games there, right? Where it was fine to go for New South Wales Cup because you've got parking. But even then, I think the second time I went there, I had to park like a couple of blocks away for New South Wales Cup games. It's ridiculous. But so that's another one. Manly, I will never go to a Manly Seagulls game.
I was going to say actually about that time we had to park a few blocks away. When you did get back to your car, did it still have all its tyres on it?
Well, honestly, I was prepared for anything. And thankfully my car was A, still there, and B, untouched. But
the only reason why that happened is because you either drive a Commodore or a Falcon.
Well, seriously, it was like one of those things when I couldn't get parking outside the stadium. I was really worried for my car. I really properly was. And then, yeah, Manly, I will never go to a Manly game again, mostly because the ground is sour. I don't want to be there for that. And there's just all these stadiums that are like that. Whereas the difference is I'm very keen to go and see the new Sydney Football Stadium. I would go to a good Parramatta game anytime I could. When Penrith get their new stadium, I'll be a season ticket holder until I die in 3.5 years' time or so. And so it just is, it's the difference. I don't understand this. Let's go to old rundown facilities. It's so great. It's like, no, it's not. And I tell you what, there's a reason why they play so many games at Leichhardt in Campbelltown, because it is dirt cheap to hire them grounds. That's the only reason they go there.
Only when they play day games. The problem with playing at Leichhardt at night is they actually have to get the lights. They've got to hire those lights there. So they've got to get near a sellout in order to draw square.
Mm.
Why would you have night games there? And yet, every year they'll have a night game there. Why? Just stop doing it. Just have the afternoon game so that fucking Gus Gould can wake himself silly over when the game used to go left, right, or whatever it was, and, fucking 78 tooth cup or some shit.
But at least the Tigers break even.
Wow.
It's all that matters. It's not about the game or supporters or enjoyment or anything.
Or success.
Yeah, that's success. Anything at all like that. It's all about the books.
That's right. Why do you appear to be best mates with Buzz on set, but every time Crawley comes on, you scream and shout over him? That's because Crawley's an idiot.
Yeah,
or Buzz is an idiot. Well, who cares? You're all three of you are idiots. Someone says, why are you such a flop, Kenty? He's a journo, that's why.
I would love to hear him answer that. If somebody said to you, why are you such a flop, what would your answer be?
I'd probably say, it's all the money they give me to be here.
No, I mean you personally.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Oh, really?
It's all the money you give me. I'm paid to be this shit.
Mine would be that I'm really lazy. That would be my one. It's like I'm mostly flop because of my laziness, I would say.
I'd like to think of myself as being easily bought. So if you want me to be better, you just need to give me more money.
If you want me to be better, you need to pay me more.
That's right. Hey, you get what you pay for. If you're not going to pay him anything, then I'm not going to give you much.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Someone's asked, why do birds suddenly appear?
It only happens every time he's near.
Good work. Hello, Paul. Why did you say that 4-week suspension is too much for being homophobic? Sounds like you were trying to defend homophobic behaviour. No, look, I've had criticisms of Kenty before. I don't think he's trying to defend homophobic behaviour. I think he's trying to say that it was just a very stupid thing to say. Does it really warrant being suspended for a full month for saying something stupid? I think that's kind of the point he's making. He's not trying to say that homophobia is fine. That's where I take from that. I've never heard Kenty come across as being, outlandish with comments regarding things like, sexuality and stuff like that. I don't think he really dabbles in that area. So I'll defend him a little bit there.
Yeah, I guess one way you could look at it, and I'm trying to be like a devil's advocate here, is I could see you could make an argument where you would say the suspension you get for an act of physical violence or an act of, physical violence in the game, how does that line up to a homophobic slur? And then asking that question between the two and how do you level them up against one another. But I don't think there's been any I haven't really seen any pushback against that suspension from within the game, to be honest. I don't think, I think everyone was like, oh yeah, fair enough, cop it.
Exactly. And I've always said that suspensions should be more about the heavier they are is based on the level of stupidity displayed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think 4-week suspension for saying something homophobic is perfectly fine because there's an easy way out of that, and that is to shut your fucking mouth and don't say stupid shit, and then you don't get suspended at all. It is so easy to fix.
Yeah.
And so it is so stupid, so insanely stupid that you deserve to get 4 weeks for being so stupid to run your mouth on something and say such stupid shit. I don't even know who said it or what was said, but if you're going to go out there and say homophobic fucking comments, there's no place for that crap, whether you've got an issue with homophobic people or not. You know you're going to get punished for it if you say anything about it, so just shut your fucking mouth and say nothing. Then you don't get suspended or fined or whatever. It's an easy system. It really is.
Yeah. It's
pretty
pretty
stupid. Don't be stupid, you don't get suspended.
The other thing I would look at it too is like, you're a professional athlete. Act like it.
Exactly. It's easy to just shut your mouth.
Mm.
You don't need to give your opinion on everything. I mean, has the whole Israel Folau fucking saga not taught anyone anything?
I wonder what Israel Folau's doing. Is he still playing rugby union in Japan?
Maybe he's about to start campaigning for Clive Palmer. Probably wants some of his coin back.
My guess is Clive Palmer doesn't want anything to do with Israel Folau anymore either. That was so fucking weird.
This is a very weird union, that one. I think what happened was Clive thought he's a way for me to get a bit of popularity.
Mm.
And then he's gone and helped out Israel, and he's gone, ooh, not so many people like Israel as I first thought. Another bad investment, Clive. I'll just walk away from this one.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that you kind of look at that whole situation and you come away thinking from it like, Clive Palmer probably feels like Israel Folau was a user. Like, how weird is that?
I know. That's pretty impressive from Israel Folau's standpoint, that's for sure.
It really is.
He got more out of Clive than most of Clive's employees did. Why do so many journalists think they're experts when clearly they have very little additional expertise to the general public? Shouldn't you be talking as the voice of the punter to people who know, not pretending to be the bloke who knows? That kind of fell away there.
I guess I understand what he means. So these journalists kind of set themselves up as like, I know behind the scenes. I've got the scoop. I know things you don't know. And it's very clear that the vast majority of them do not have any fucking idea. And so I think that there is look, I think you and me to a certain extent would be filling that role. And I think a lot of podcasters and independent outlets fill that role as well in terms of just talking to people about footy, and not pretending that, and you and me have talked about this before, the people that pretend they know things when they don't, there's something weird about those people. Like they need something that they are missing in their lives.
There was a really good one actually that came up last week with the Matty Johns podcast. He had Cooper Cronk on.
Mm.
And Cooper Cronk showed very clearly how far ahead of Matty Johns he is when it comes to analysing the game.
Mm.
So Matty Johns was talking about how he thought, he asked the question, does Jackson Hastings have the best footy IQ in the game? And the footage that he showed was of two crash ball plays, basically hit-ups, through the middle. And the second of them was, it resulted in a very slow play, the ball. And Hastings wasn't involved in this play. The ball went out to Brooks, and Brooks threw a fucking spectacular pass that cut out one player and one defender, created an overlap, and the Tigers scored off it.
Mm-hmm.
And he used that as an example of Hastings' IQ. When Cronk got a chance to actually show his IQ, he showed Hastings directing traffic and directing play before Luke Brooks kicked that match-winning field goal. I think it was against Parramatta or South, one of those two. And he showed, he's pretty much saying, go right, and then pointed, go back to Brooks, don't pass to me for the field goal. And it did exactly what he asked. They got good play the balls out of it. They went forward, and then it gave Brooks a lot of space to calmly kick the field goal and win the game.
Yeah.
That was a good example of Hastings' IQ.
Yeah.
That's the one that Cronk used. The one that Matty Johns used didn't show anything that Hastings did at all. And that's not a criticism of Hastings. He just wasn't needed in that set for what they were doing there. And it was all Brooks who set up the try and did all the work there, because Brooks does have skills. He can do that. It just seemed like Cronk was trying to carry and save Matty Johns. Matty Johns is essentially let's say, for lack of a better word, let's say he's a larrikin.
Yeah.
At least that's what he's trying to portray himself as. He's not the analyst he thinks he is. I think Matty Johns is smart enough to be a decent enough analyst in the Michael Annis sort of capability.
Mm-hmm.
He's not on Cooper Cronk's level.
And, I think some of this has to do with, I think in rugby league, if you can get your thoughts across at a certain level, you can blag your way to a certain level as well. So I think you look at somebody like a Matthew Johns who can articulate what he's thinking pretty well when he's talking about the game. Now, whether that's right or wrong, there are people within the game that he can talk about the game at that level with, where they will be like, man, he knows what he's talking about because listen to the way he's talking about it. And look, there are players that the best rugby league player I've ever seen is Andrew Johns. He's dumb.
Yep.
He's dumb. All right.
Yeah.
He's dumb. Let's face it. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be fucking anything.
As I was saying before, as another person who just played on instincts.
Yes.
And those instincts were just fucking sublime.
Yes. And look, Ricky Stewart, I'm sure if you sat down and did a film session with Ricky Stewart, it would be an amazing experience, right?
Yeah.
And he would point things out to you that, like, and sitting down with Craig Bellamy would just be like, I'm sure he would probably talk about things you never even knew needed to be known in the game. But if you can talk about the game at a certain level, I think you can blag your way through it. And I think that there are people within the game that you see do that. And it's interesting when you see it.
It really is. I just found that one really, because we've heard a lot of the Matthew Johns ideas.
Oh, they're terrible.
And for me, that shows you where his analytical mind is at when it comes to the game.
Yeah, and look, it's okay. Like,
yeah,
it's fine. There's different levels to this shit, and it's fine. It didn't make him any worse of a player. Like, he played for New South Wales. It's cool. He formed when him and his brother were both playing together. Like, if you take it up to the season before he left Newcastle, they were a damn good halves pairing. Really good. They worked really well. They complemented each other. It doesn't mean he doesn't know the game or anything. It's just some people are going to know the game. Some people would be able to run rings around both Cronk and Johns when it comes to talking about the game as well. Like, it just depends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Matty Johns would understand some of the duties that a half, especially a 5-base, would have to do because that's the position he played. But the way the game was played when he was a 5'8" is different to the way it's played now. Not by much, but by enough to make him not the authority he would probably like to think he is anyway on the matter. The same goes for Andrew Johns. And it's only because Andrew Johns played the game completely differently to everybody else and like no one before him.
Yeah.
So, of course, the way he looks at it and the way the game is supposed to be played is going to be through different eyes because he didn't play it like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to be the way it is. A lot of these commentators are not the great analytical minds I think they are. Cooper Cronk, though, is different. Billy Slater is also different.
Yeah, Slater's really good. I tell you somebody that is very good at it, but they probably can't articulate it as well, is Brad Fittler. He's very good at it, but he's just not as good of a speaker as somebody like a Cooper Cronk, and that's fine as well. Like, I think it didn't hold Brad Fittler back. Never has.
I think that for Fittler too, he kind of wants to be seen as a sort of happy-go-lucky, jokey sort of a bloke, which is fine, because he is. I think he worries if he gets a bit too serious and really gets bogged in that sort of stuff. People won't think that he's an easygoing or relaxed sort of guy, and I don't know, something weird like that. But no, he is, especially when it comes to understanding what forwards have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much because he was there, but it's more because I think a lot of the work he did when he was at the Roosters, especially, was off the back of good work by the forwards and the platform that they set, because the Roosters had phenomenal forward pack when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he genuinely understands and appreciates the work that they do and what they do good and how it helps the halves.
Yeah.
And so I think he had a better awareness of what players were doing around him, which is something I don't think the Johns brothers or Ricky Stewart, for that sense, are as good at understanding.
Yeah. I tell you, another person I like hearing talk about the real technical side of game is Jonathan Thurston. And that's why it frustrates me when, like, at half time, they'll run a clip where he's doing a voiceover over some silly clips from other sports or something. You know, they'll do things like that every so often, because it's like, I want to hear Jonathan Thurston sit down and really show me things that are happening in this game that I'm not seeing because I'm not Jonathan Thurston's level of understanding rugby league. And I think that's what got me about that Benji Marshall show. Like, I was hoping that Benji Marshall show was just forget all the fluff, forget all the production. Benji Marshall sits down and talks about those things within the game. I would have watched every episode of that, but they just kind of made it another one of those, I'm talking
Chat
to
show.
this dude next to me show. Yeah, it's a chat show, yeah. And look, maybe that's all Benji Marshall wanted to do. That's cool, but I was hoping it was going to be like, let's get stuck into what rugby league is. I want to hear a legend tell me what they see. And I don't think we get enough of that.
Remember, I think Sterlo had a show like that for a little while on Fox many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fascinating. I think the one that I remembered the most was when he had Todd Carney on.
Mm-hmm.
And he went through very thoroughly, I think, one game where Carney set up a try. And what he looked at was, he said, right, we're going to pause it here. Tell me what you're seeing here and what you're thinking at the same time.
Mm.
And Carney was talking about how you could see that the winger had just turned his eye off the outside winger and his, in the attacking team,
mm-hmm.
and was looking straight at Carney. He says, as soon as I see the winger's eyes, I'm now thinking, how do I get the ball out to the winger? Because already I've drawn that defender's attention.
Mm-hmm.
He's now lost sight of the winger he's supposed to be marking. So I've already got that man beat.
Mm.
You're going, and this is like a split second thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's in their head. And I'm going, now that's the fascinating stuff. That's what we need to get to. That's the bit we need to know. And, the little bits of, what is it when a player sees that they go, I've got him.
Yes.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
No one asked that question.
I agree. I love that stuff. I absolutely love it. And it can be weird. It's weird things too. It'll be like, I know this guy when he goes backwards just before he comes off the line, instead of coming forward, he sort of crosses his legs over and he doesn't get off the line as quick as he should. And I know that there's going to be space there. It's just weird things that's what I love too. It's like, oh man, just a look. That's when rugby league's at its best. When I always felt like when I played, and look, I didn't play at any level, right? But when you played footy, and you could and I played on the wing, and you could just give a look to your halfback, and he knew it was on, and that's all it took. And he was going to kick to you, get the ball to you, whatever way it was. That was always, to me, what was like magic. It was so cool.
It was, yeah. It's always, like, the one thing I always remember too is, was there a certain step you have to do or a certain direction you had to run in order to change the way the defense moved?
Mm.
And if you could get the defense to either move more slowly or faster than what your attack was, then there's a chance you could catch them out somewhere. And so watching halves trying to find that moment, especially when they're close to the attacking line, where there's little room to move for the attacking side anyway, watching them search for that moment is pretty intriguing because you're looking for very minute detail.
Mm.
It's like freeze frame stuff. You're going, that's where he's got him.
Mm.
I find that pretty fascinating. But, I'm a nerd, so of course I would.
See, that's why I love a short ball, because you've got a player has the defense moving with him at that point, and they're watching outside, and they're watching him, and they're watching everything else, and it's the guy that's running straight through, and he's just off his hip, and it's like a blind spot, and they miss it, and it's a short ball straight through, and they score, and it's like, that's like a sleight of hand magician move. And that's why I will see a short ball and I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. That stuff to me is very, very cool.
Yeah, I love the good short, especially when they make it look like they're going to pass out the back and they hit the lead runner right in front.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And you've got this overview of it all from above. And it's like, oh, what happened? Oh, it's a short ball. He scored. It's so cool.
I definitely love that. I've got a few more here. Hi, Kent. He just finished a good film but was confused about one part. What was that in Cameron Diaz's hair from the Something About Mary?
Now, I've seen that movie. It's cum. It's cum. It's 100% cum.
I thought it might. Did you say gum?
No, cum. It was.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he ejaculated and that was cum.
There you go. That should clear that up pretty subtly, I'd say.
It was cum, yeah.
Yeah. How come Jeff Tuvey's name is never in the mix when discussing available coaches?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Neither do I.
Do you think that Jeff Tuvey, because Jeff Tuvey's a real smart dude, do you think Jeff Tuvey is earning a certain amount of money doing whatever he's doing to the point where he's like, he needs to be made a real good offer?
I don't know, because I don't even know what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, I've got no idea either.
He used to make occasional appearances on, whatever weird panel shows they had going on Fox Sports. So I've stopped watching them, so I wouldn't know if they're still there or not.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Fox Sports, if you want me to watch again, I've got a request, and that is no more Benny Elias ever. That prick does not have an opinion that's worth listening to. So don't put him on there anymore, okay? And I might consider watching something that you've got on there. I don't know what's on there anymore. I stopped watching it.
Why would I? I don't care what journalists think.
Well, that's true.
When has anyone ever cared what journalists think?
Yes, that's a very good question.
Like ever.
I've questioned Dean Ritchie a few times in recent weeks over a few things.
Has he blocked you yet?
No. I don't think so. Let's be honest. I'm not trying to get blocked. I think that's childish. I'm not going out calling him names and being abusive to him. I'm just kind of telling him that the reason why certain things are the way they are is because of journalists whinging and complaining to make sure they got changed so that they could then whinge and complain about the change, because that's all they want, is to create a never-ending whinge loop. And he's one of the best at it, as is Phil Gould. You need to make sure there's always something to whinge about. So you whinge about something that doesn't need to change, and then when it does change, you then whinge about the fact they changed it.
100%. I saw you talking about that on Twitter. It was the refereeing, I think it was, with Phil Gould, and because everyone gets blocked by Phil Gould eventually, and then he quits Twitter. But then it was 100% correct. Like they all whinge about things, and then it gets changed, and then they whinge that it should never have been changed. It's like, you were the crusader for this shit.
Yeah. Well, the Richie one was stupid because he said, I wish they'd tell us what the 6 agains or what the restarts are for. And I said, well, if they did that, they'd call a penalty. But then you'd start whinging about there being too many penalties are called. That's why we've got 6 agains. So 6 agains are there because this is what you journalists wanted. So you should be happy.
I saw somebody actually pointed out to him that it's put up on the screen when it happens.
Well, that was the conversation I jumped in on.
Yeah, and then he wasn't happy with that either. And it's like, oh, you're just a miserable cunt.
Yeah. He didn't like the fact that, I suppose, people were pointing out that he wasn't right.
Yeah. None of them do.
No, they like being in their echo chamber where everyone agrees with them.
Yeah.
Because they're spineless sooks. It's simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. See if there's any left here that might be interesting. A lot of people are asking about why isn't Ricky Stewart being hit with the same pressure as everybody else. Someone says, why do you get so aggressive when other people have a different opinion? What is for supper this evening? Probably sherry.
You beat me to it, you fuck.
Are the media scared of Ricky Stewart?
Imagine if it turned out they were actually physically scared of Ricky Stewart.
They probably are.
Like we find out that Ricky Stewart's like, somebody writes something bad about him and he just calls them up and he says something over the phone that terrifies people.
Someone says, almost identical percentages between Ricky and Madge. Ricky, 1 title, 49.9% win rate in the NRL. Madge, 1 title, 50% win rate in the NRL. Almost identical. Yeah. Why is there never any heat on Ricky, but there's always heaps on Maguire? And that's because the West Tigers don't fight this stuff. And Ricky has hired the brother of one of those journos that are on there, so, they're all sooks.
The other thing is, too, like, the Raiders are a pretty stable club. They've got their off-field, like their business side of stuff. Everything's sorted for the Raiders. I don't think people realise that. And so that they're a pretty stable club down there, whereas the West Tigers, I would not suggest they're a stable club.
No, well, financially they're stable.
Oh, financially they're great. By the way, how easy is it to be financially good when your biggest expenses are covered by the National Rugby League grant? Like,
yeah, I mean, surely the Tigers are the only team that gets that.
Well, there are others that get that as well.
But like 1 or 2 others.
Yeah. This is all just neither here nor there.
Well, yeah. Someone says, does high inflation have a real-world impact on salary caps? Not really.
No, I don't think at the level that they're spending at. Yeah, I don't think so. It would have to be pretty damn high inflation for it to get to that point. And at that point, who would give a fuck about footballers?
Exactly. No one's watching it then because they can't afford it. COVID years aside, why can't the Anzac game between Melbourne and Warriors rotate and be played in New Zealand every second year?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really many others other than people asking about James Super's driving record.
People can be cunts, can't they?
Yeah, they can. I'm glad we don't do that sort of stuff, though.
No.
We don't dabble in that murky water.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's good. It's about time. I looked it up. It's the 10th episode of Ask Kenty that we've done. There's no doubt that we've answered way more questions than Kenty has.
Oh, yeah, he only usually does 2.
Yeah. So
last time I watched him answer this anyway, he only did 2.
And they're very hand-picked as well.
Yeah. I just tried not to repeat myself. So there's an awful lot that all sounded the same. So I was just skimming over them and trying to read the ones that made the most amount of sense, I guess, for an idiot like me to read out.
Lots of Ricky Stewart ones, and yeah, I get that. And that's fine because people want that question answered, and As I said, I'm out on Ricky Stewart. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and it's all gone now.
All doubt is gone?
All of it's gone. They should bring in Jeff Tuvey. Although, does Jeff Tuvey really want to move down to Canberra? Who wants to move to Canberra? Fuck that.
Well, I think if a coaching gig came along, I reckon Tubes would take it.
You reckon in Canberra?
Yeah. I mean, he lived in Manly.
Well, Manly's just Blacktown by the sea, isn't it? So
yeah, well,
he could live in Queanbeyan.
Exactly. Almost done, fella.
He's not happy tonight.
That's it. That's all we want. Alrighty. All right, we'll wrap this fella up. Yeah, let's do that. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you check us out on the socials at Instagram and Twitter at Fergo Freak Pod. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, MySpace. So check us out on all of those. Give us likes, follows, subscribes, all that sort of gear. Make sure you leave us a comment and a 5-star rating on your podcast listening device. And also you can contact us via email, Freaky. How can they do that?
Yeah, if you go to your email machine and put in podcast@leaguefreak.com, leave us an email. I think we've got about 4 of them that we can go back and have a look at, but I've got to bring them all up. I'm getting so much spam at the moment. It's crazy. I'm getting like 40 spam emails a day. It's just dumb. Yeah. And they're all like in Russian.
Oh. Must be something going on in Russia.
I don't know. It seemed like a pretty stable area to me.
Yeah, it is pretty calm. Not much happens over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's pretty much it. Next episode,
our Palmerbet. Yeah, and it'll probably be our Palmerbet preview for the upcoming round. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll try and turn it into something a bit more than just the standard preview.
Yeah.
We'll still have all that stuff there, but we'll try and think of something to add in there. I don't know.
Turn it into a freaking celebration. Maybe I could get blind drunk I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you've got 20 odd hours. We'll end this episode now and you can start drinking.
Just turn up. It's like I just start drinking now and I've drunk the whole time. It'd be great.
What could go wrong? Alrighty. Well, I'll wait.
He's upset because the episode's ended.
Possibly. Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll catch you all next time.
Palmerbet with the big don't argue. Punters will love that. Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.